Hello, everyone. So welcome to another Jakarta EE Community Call. Sorry about the scare there. Today, and let me go through our agenda a little bit. So today we're going to cover again progress on the Jakarta EE Release 9. Then we'll talk a little bit about Jakartifying the specification documents. Neil from IBM is going to present Jakarta EE 2020 marketing plan and budget. And right after that, we're hoping to connect at Bratt with Retrospective on Jakarta EE 8. And then I will give you updates on the events that we're planning with regards to Cloud Native for Java Day and part of the KubeCon and Cloud Native conference in Amsterdam, as well as the JakartaOne Livestream Japan. So hopefully you can all hear us well. And Frank, thank you so much for reminding me there. Happy New Year, everyone. It's still early in January, so we can go with that. Yeah, let me switch it over to Steve Millidge. And Steve, if you can give us an update on what's going on with Jakarta EE 9 release.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. It seems a long time ago now. I'm going to try and share the screen. And here we go. Okay. Everyone got that okay? So I'll give you a quick update on Jakarta EE 9 again. I did the same on the last call. It's been Christmas in between, but I'll give you an update of where we are. So Jakarta EE 9, we're calling it a tooling release. The reason for that is, we think it's a good opportunity to update all the specifications for the namespace change without bringing any new specifications at this point and without bringing any other breaking changes to specifications other than the namespace change. And this is really to give opportunities for tools like IDEs to build some tools around moving from JavaX to Jakarta. Also gives people like Pyara and others to explore how we can provide compatibility for old applications that are still running in the namespace on our runtimes. And the advantage of Jakarta EE, Java EE is it's a managed runtime, and it may give us opportunities to mitigate some of the namespace change issues. And because it will be a stable platform with no other breaking changes, then developers out there can also use this as a target for their application migration. So Jakarta EE 9 will then give you that interim release where you can look at how you would change your application up for Jakarta EE 9 without any other breaking changes. Where we are at the moment is just before Christmas. There was a big mad panic to get the release plan out. The release plan now is in voting, and I think the vote ends either today or tomorrow or sometime this week. And it's looking like most people have voted for, and no one's obviously voted against. So this is likely to go ahead in its current form. So the content in more detail of what we've got is we are pruning a number of legacy APIs from Jakarta EE 9, mainly around XML registries and things like that. There's more detail in the actual release plan. I haven't got time to go into each API here. There was also a lot of debate around bringing in APIs from SE8, which are no longer in SE11, so XML binding, activation, web services. And through a lot of feedback from the community, we've decided both to bring those into Jakarta EE 9 and move them into the Jakarta namespace, but also then, as a consequence of that, to require Java SE11 support for platform compatibility. So essentially, it makes more sense to target Java SE 11 if we are bringing in XML binding, activation, and web services. Otherwise, we would get in a mixed mode with SE 8 and as the base platform. Individual APIs, as I've said on the slide, they will be released in a format suitable for use with JDK8. So what that essentially means is they'll be compiled JDK8 source compatible, and class file compatible. So you'll be able to use them in JDK8, but the actual runtimes that want certification will need to certify on Java SE 11. We're also following the Big Bang rename. So everything that is included in Jakarta EE 9 will be moved to Jakarta namespace, including, as I said, XML binding and activation. So we're intending to release in a number of phases. Again, there's a lot of detail in the release plan that goes into waves and which APIs will be first. But in general, we're looking to get release candidate API jars in the Jakarta namespace onto Maven Central as soon as possible. So as soon as an API jar has been moved to the namespace, they're able to push out release candidate API jars without going through like formal review and those sort of things. Really, so that we can get it into the hands of people that want to play with these, see if they work. Also, to get it into the later APIs that come along, we'll need obviously something in the Jakarta namespace for all their dependencies, so that they can move their API jars into the Jakarta namespace. So you should see API jars appearing in Maven Central pretty soon. And each individual spec can, when it's ready, it can release its final at any time. We don't need to wait for the full platform, subject to the normal Eclipse Foundation specification process. Again, Eclipse Glassfish will start as soon as these API release candidates start appearing in Maven Central. Also, we do have a staging as well. Then, the Eclipse Glassfish project will start picking these up and incorporate them into Glassfish itself. And then when we've got all of them sort of done, we intend to create a full platform release candidate. And that full platform release candidate will, obviously call both web profile and full profile, include the API jars, a compatible implementation, and the TCKs. And at that point, we will sort of pause and give ourselves a couple of months with a release candidate for people to bash on it. And if there's any problems, that'll give us a breathing space to fix anything before final release in 2020. So 2 months later from the RC. So that targeting at the moment Q2 2020. That's our target date. We don't know what we don't know. So again, take that date as it is, which is where we're aiming for. Who knows where we'll hit? We may hit early, we may hit late. But the final release will obviously include all the spec documents, all the final jars, a compatible implementation, which is a requirement, which then passes the TCK. And as I say, we're hoping to do that in Q2 2020. So the project's kicked off. Like I say, the release plan is on vote. People are starting to do work, and we're tracking it on a project board in GitHub. This is the URL of the board. And there's a number of pull requests already made for quite a lot of the sort of what we call the first wave API jars, which are essentially the API jars with the least dependencies. And this board, I think, only got set up about a day ago, so it's pretty hot off the press. But progress will be able to follow on that. We do have a staging repo as well set up called jakarta.oss.sonotype.org, I think. And API jars will appear in there first, and then they'll move into release candidates into Maven Central for you to pick up publicly. And so because Jakarta EE 9 is now Eclipse, we're in, it's fully open source. You can be part of it. I put some URLs just for reference. So a lot of the conversation around the EE 9 release in totality will happen on the platform list, which is on there. We do have a community list, which is just for general, chat around Jakarta. And then each individual spec has its own mailing list associated with its project and with its repos on GitHub. We are, looking for people to contribute. You can contribute to code, you can contribute to TCK, you can Jakartaize the spec documents, which someone will be going into on this call. Similarly, when the RCs come out, you can start playing with them, mess with them, raise issues on them. I mean, fundamentally, Jakarta EE is open source now. Just one final comment is that while we're doing Jakarta EE 9, we can also start looking at Jakarta EE 10 and gathering ideas and new features that we want to release as EE 10. And the intention for us is to release EE 10 quite quickly after EE 9 if we can. So the EE 10 work doesn't have to stop while we do EE 9. That's all I've got. So back to Tanja.
Thanks, Steve. Just a quick pause in the case there are any questions from the audience. In the case of questions, please type them in the chat, and then we can see them and respond that way. So you get a thank you from Kevin, Steve. So I will then invite Ivar on the screen just to provide a quick update on the progress for Jakartifying the specification documents. So just give me a second there, Ivar. Is just about to join.
So now we're probably going to have feedback.
Okay. So Ivar, if you want to take over.
Okay, so can you hear me? Okay.
Can you hear us okay? Oh. Yep.
Cool. So, so the update of the specification documents, I'll just share my screen here. I'm not allowed to share it.
Yeah, you can share it.
I upgraded my Mac today, so I'm not able to share it. I have to go to security settings. But anyway, I don't need. I think I need to share any documents. I wonder if I'm sharing now.
Yeah, you're sharing it.
Okay.
It had to bleed for a second.
Okay, so I'm sharing now.
Well, you're on the screen now. So
okay, I'm just on screen. No, I'm not sharing. So yeah, the board that Steve showed in his talk shows all the status for all the specifications in Jakarta EE 9, and in each of these issues there is a checklist, and one of the checklist items are Jakartify the documents. So currently, I think this is the best way to get an overview of how this work is doing, if this checkbox has been marked by the project itself or not. Currently, there are, I think the last time I checked, we have 19 documents where the IP is still pending to be cleared. I hope we will get some answers about them pretty soon. We have 5 projects where the IP is cleared, and I cannot find any activity around the start of the Jakartification. So if we're involved in a project and you think you have your document received but haven't started Jakartification, I encourage to do that. And the 5 I have on my list, and this list may be wrong, is persistence, it's batch, it's activation, it's annotations, and it's mail. All of the documents have been cleared, but I haven't recorded any activity on them. So if you have done anything with these, just ping me and I'll update the status. There are a lot of specifications that are being worked on, and some are done. So we're in total, I think we're maybe 1/3 done or have started, and the rest is waiting for clearance. So are there any questions about this? I guess not. So
Yes,
I think I'll go back to you, and let's try if I can just kill my mic here.
So if there are any questions or with regards to Jakartifying the documents, please remember that we have quite a few short recordings on this from our previous update calls. So please have a look there. So I think next on the agenda is Neil's presentation on marketing plan and budget. Because I believe Neil is hitting some problems with sharing the files, I will actually share files on my end. Just give me a second. I'll do this.
Great.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Great. And can you hear me okay?
So Neil, you can go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tanja. So if you want to go.
Neil, can you hear us? Maybe you're on mute, Neil.
Bear with me for 1 second.
Let me see. Neil is not on mute.
I can hear
Can you hear? Yeah. I've got a few.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay, great. Okay, so if you can go to the first slide, that'd be great, Tanja.
Yes, there you go.
Okay, thank you once again for joining this call, and would like to share with you the work that the committee has been doing around 2020 marketing. And so if you can go to the first slide, the second slide, I guess. Scroll down a bit. Oh,
this is okay.
Okay. Down to the goals 1 of 3. Okay, great. So hopefully you can see this okay. The overall goals of the marketing committee, as you would expect, are tightly aligned with the overall program goals for 2020, and we are focused a great deal on getting on building awareness of Jakarta EE, continuing the momentum we have coming out of the launch of Jakarta EE 8 and the success of that launch, and then looking forward to the launch of Jakarta EE 9 with specific activities and actions to both promote that launch before it happens, but then also make sure that we're treating it as a high-profile event when we get to that point. We're also looking at in our overall plan to increase the usage of Jakarta EE, and increase the level of participation within the community, and also from a contributor perspective. So you'll see that reflected in these goals that you see on the screen, and these are readily available, and invite your feedback and any discussion with the committee about these and how they're going to be rolled out. If you go to the next slide, just scroll up a little bit, Tanja. In terms of the what's reflected on this this slide, the second of 3 marketing goals, this is really reflecting that we want to increase and recruit new qualified members for the working group, primarily amongst cloud providers, the enterprise clients, and Java EE licensees. So going to have a concerted effort to really increase our membership. We're looking at also increasing the awareness that Jakarta EE is a key technology for cloud native development. So as we look at people moving from their existing systems and migrating them potentially to the cloud or just to newer technology stacks, we're doing a lot of work to communicate that Jakarta EE is something they need to be looking closely at and leveraging for that more that modern approach to not only development but deployment and use across their applications. The aspect of backward compatibility that was highlighted on that is highlighted here as well. It is an important aspect of that because not only can they use it now for what they're doing with enterprise Java, but it does move forward and gives them a very solid foundation on which to build the new applications and also support their existing applications. Next slide, please. Another important goal for us is to increase the overall awareness through a number of activities with analysts and press, and to drive engagement with developers through face-to-face and virtual events. And we'll cover those in the key ones for us in 2020 in one of the upcoming slides. But again, getting engaged with developers, increasing the awareness, and driving the importance of Jakarta for developers across the board, creating new applications or looking at their existing applications. That's a key goal for us, and we'll do it in a number of different ways, including that face-to-face and virtual event area. Next slide, please. Wanted to give you a view into the budget for 2020 that we're using for marketing. You can see here that we have, if you look at the total, we've actually decreased our marketing budget for this year compared to last year. There's a number of reasons for that, but our focus is still on doing all we can to increase that awareness. So you'll see a lot of effort, increased activity around conferences. We are going to increase our digital footprint and leverage digital where we can to increase that awareness. And we are looking to also make sure that we are getting the word out, as I indicated on the previous slide, through analysts and public relations to build that awareness, to drive home the importance of Jakarta EE to developers. If you go to the next slide, which is the final slide, Here we're highlighting the key events in our plan for 2020. Of course, we evaluate all the events as we go through the year, and we something may come up that would cause us to consider either something else or what we're doing at these individual events. But you can see here we've got a good mix of events in Europe and North America, and covering a large number of not only really Java-focused conferences, but also events that are going to get us engaged with the cloud native communities, with the Kubernetes communities, in a way that will help to expand the awareness of Jakarta EE to the developers in those communities. So as I said before, I do invite you to reach out to with any questions about the marketing plan. And I know that Tanja is going to be covering in a little more detail the Cloud Native Java Day and the JakartaOne live stream events later in this call. I see there's a question about the 4 live streams, so that'll be covered by Tanja in a little bit. And there's a question about the communication with the main vendors like Wildfly, Pyera, IBM, etc., ready to move forward with specification update. Anybody on the call want to handle that? Oh, I see Kevin's already replied. Yeah.
Okay. I currently cannot see the questions because I'm sharing the screen, so I'll stop sharing at this point. But
Okay.
I'm sure Kevin took care of it. So
yeah, he
I'll
basically
stop
said
sharing.
that all the vendors are included, involved with Jakarta EE, are actively working to move that forward.
Okay. So I think I'll say thank you, Neil, and then we'll move on to Ed. Let me see. I'll Ed. I will invite Ed again. Oh, Ed is already on the screen. Okay, great.
I think I'm here. Okay.
And then actually, I'll close Neil's video, and I understand it's best for me to share your presentation as well, right? Ed?
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think I can share. Let's see if this
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Let's see. Okay, that's
fantastic.
Nice. It looks like it's doing something strange. Is it?
It's now once you go to your presentation, it will actually work. No worries.
Is that better?
That's much better.
All right. Well, okay. Right. Even full screen. How about that? First try. All right. So
Great.
I just have a quick update. At the end of the Jakarta EE 8 release, we decided that we really should go back, look back at how we did with Jakarta EE 8. We asked the various subcommittees, and we also looked at the looked on the community for a for some input about where did we do things right and where did we need some improvements. And I wanted to, together with Will, who's I guess he's the chair for the Jakarta EE Steering Committee. He put together a bunch of data about that retrospective, and I wanted to kind of just going to go over the highlights of that, of what we found. So it started off in the steering committee, and then we asked for contributors from the specification group, the marketing group, and also we did ask for contributors that were committers, and also just sort of general observations from the the Jakarta EE community. We wanted to turn that into some feedback that we could then turn into some a set of actions that we could use for subsequent releases. We have just recently published this. We put up a blog earlier this week, and it should be available at the aquarium blog that's with the URL that's listed down at the bottom of the screen. I know we don't use that blog much, but we thought this was the right place for that. It should be there. It should be there now if anybody wants to go look at the details. We're working on getting that aggregated into the Jakarta EE blogs, but I don't think it's quite there yet. I didn't actually check this morning, but when I went to bed last night, it wasn't there. So things that went well. Probably most of you are aware we had some pretty stiff legal hurdles that we had to get past. So once we got by those, everything seemed to really kind of go pretty well. In fact, my recollection was many of the people, at least in my circles, were we tend to be a little dour, and we had a lot of naysayers into it. So there was a lot of skepticism that we were actually going to hit the dates that we had set for ourselves. But we managed to get everything going on time, and we got a lot of press and analyst coverage. And I think my hat is definitely off to the guys and gals at Eclipse, because I think they really pressed hard to get a lot of to make a lot of noise in the press and to make sure that analysts were aware of what was coming. We had the JakartaOne live stream that probably most of you have at least heard about, and if not, if you haven't taken a look at any of the original program, I highly recommend you go take a look at some of those presentations. They give you a really good sense of what Jakarta EE migration is all about, and they also have some news about what are some specs going to be trying to accomplish in their next releases. So that all went really well. Some areas for improvement, right? We struggled with our own process that we created. We needed to, there were a lot of things that we were just doing by the seat of our pants, and we had to kind of had to focus on trying to get those things worked out. So I would say that's going to be an ongoing improvement area. We're already working on trying to make things work better. Communication to the broader community, always difficult, right? For those of us who are sort of immersed in this, and we get the information daily, to get a sense of what is escaping outside of our higher bandwidth channels. So we'll hope to be able to improve that community communications, and then further clarifying how each of these the steering committee interacts with the subcommittees, and how all of that interacts with the committer teams. In general, we want this to be as light a touch, as light control as is necessary to get these releases out as a cohesive platform. And I hope during the course of this coming year, we'll see some, relaxation of rules, perhaps even with rules that have been, traditional with, the former Java EE project. I hope we can make these things less burdensome and improve the general throughput and hopefully even the release cadence. It's always been our goal, and it certainly is going to continue to be our goal. Let's see. So what are we planning to do? We intend to, this presentation is part of our response to that feedback. If you look at the aquarium post, you can get there are links to the details, the detailed feedback that actually contains a little bit more than what I'm presenting here. We'll be trying to continue to reach out, do more proactive communications of the Jakarta EE 9 release plan. And this call and trying to get the word out and getting more people on calls like this, definitely those are things that we want to continue to do. It's good to see we got about almost 40 people on this call today, so I think that's a good start. See if we can keep that up. And that's all I had. Are there any questions? I can't see that. Let me see if I stop.
So far we don't have any questions, but yeah, I certainly encourage people to either post questions here or get back to us a little bit later with the questions. Thank you, Ed. Again, reminder to everyone, all the files from this call are placed in the community folder in the update call January. So they're available to you, as well as the recording. With the crowdcast that we're trying to use today, right? Trying out today, the same link for the call is the link to the recording. So please, everyone out there, you can view the recording and have that as a reference as well. So let me now share my screen and then talk a little bit more about the particularly two events that we're planning. If it lets me select. Okay, share. There you are. Okay. So I want to kind of give you a heads up on what we're doing with JakartaOne Livestream next, and then tell you a little bit about Cloud Native for Java Day that we're preparing as part of the 0-day conference at the KubeCon and Cloud Native Day in Amsterdam on March 30th. So starting with Jakarta Live one stream, after a great success we had on September 10th, which was the release date of Jakarta EE 8 as well, we decided to continue with the live stream, but now prepare it for a specific region. So the first one is JakartaOne live stream Japan, and that is going to cover same topics, which is Jakarta EE / Java EE, and then micro profile. And the date is February 26th. It is targeting for Japanese-speaking Java enterprise developers. And currently the schedule is being finalized. I have provided a link here, and let me just quickly go there so you can kind of have a sense. So this one is, the link is fully in Japanese, as you can see. Unfortunately, totally not understandable for me, but the good news is that we have the English version as well. So you can see the program committee, you can see what is being planned for the day, and you can register. The registration is already open. So we are planning, as I mentioned in the chat, additional events for different regions. If there is an interest from anyone in the audience for your own region, please get in touch with me, and we'll see if and when we can create one for your region as well. For this year, however, as Neil was mentioning, we're targeting about 4 JakartaOne live streams. But we can enter the discussion on which other JakartaOne live streams are we going to organize. So that's everything with regards to JakartaOne live stream. Going back to the Cloud Native Java for Day. So as I mentioned, the event is planned for March 30th. We are co-locating with Cloud KubeCon and Cloud Native Con, which is taking place that week. And we're planning, face-to-face event, and we're inviting people to attend and join us. I also providing the link in here, so let's have just a quick look. Oh, actually, I already have the link open. So let me. So this is the. Actually, maybe I can start from the beginning just so you can get the information. So that is the March 30th event for the KubeCon, or actually the for the whole week, the week of March 30th, KubeCon and Cloud Native Con. And under programs, you have the 0-day collocated events, where you can find all different events, but particularly look into the Cloud Native for Java that is hosted by Eclipse Foundation. And then in there, you will find the link for the Cloud Native for Java Day. So it's still in planning. You can see some of the speakers already. You can see the kind of program committee, and we're starting to list the talks that are being confirmed. So more news to come. You can see who is sponsoring this event, and also be reminded who are the strategic members of the Jakarta EE working group. So hopefully we will see a lot of people at the Cloud Native Java Day. Do note that registration for both KubeCon and Cloud Native Java Day is required. So please follow the steps and register, and we'll see you all there. So that's everything I have with regards to those two events. And I kind of wanted to make sure you're in the loop with those. And that is pretty much everything that we had for today's call in terms of the update. As always, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear how do you think we can improve, and especially nowadays for this particular meeting, we tried out Crowdcast. It seems to be working better for the audience. Do let us know if you agree, and do let us know if you have any questions or comments or anything else. Okay, so we've got +1 for Crowdcast. Okay, so that is everything. Unless there are any questions, I will close the call, and we'll be in touch. Stay tuned for our next month call again. Thank you. Bye for now.